Before the end of the night, Aisha, Braveboy, will demonstrate to you all that she has a very serious platform and that she's willing to take on the tough issues and make the right decisions all of the time. She's interested in protecting our consumers. She's interested in stopping the school-to-prison pipeline. She's interested in protecting home values for communities affected by foreclosures. And she's interested in enforcing the minimum wage and overtime law. But in addition to that, she's also interested in our young people and their ability to obtain a quality education from our historically black colleges and universities and other universities within the great state of Maryland.
All right.
Next to give a 2-minute speech, as the rest of us will give 2-minute speeches, will be former delegate Herman Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be here to speak on behalf of my friend and former colleague, Aisha Braveboy. She has really come into her job as a representative in the Maryland House of Delegates with so much eloquence and grace, and has really fought the fight and raised the issues that need to be raised. We served on the same committee together. I watched her as she did so many amazing things as a freshman, and how she took the floor on major bills that the Black Caucus was fighting against before she became the chair of the Black Caucus. And I think back on how all that started. How did she get so good and effective at being an attorney and a legislator? You gotta think it's probably possibly her training from Howard University and what they wanted to do to pour into lawyers when they founded the school, the law school in the mid to late 1800s. And they wanted to train up attorneys like Aisha that could go out and vindicate the sacrifices that people made to make sure that America would be open to all of us. And you know, what I see here today when we look at some of our leaders and some people that run for office is sometimes people want to maybe just see, I got to tell it like it is, their selves advance. Sometimes we don't have a commitment like an Aisha Braveboy to the community, the corporate. They're doing it to build a resume. But I can tell you with this woman, and as we've seen, the bills that she's fought for, which is why the former president of Morgan State is here, how she's uplifted HBCUs. In Sandy Spring, all the way out in Montgomery County, people were landlocked. They couldn't get access to their properties. There wasn't a road to cut through. She fought after a 10-year battle and got their houses, their properties back. In these days, that type of atrocity could occur. So in closing, I just want to say that we are all here based on a history of sacrifices. I believe that Aisha Braveboy did all the great things in the legislature for a couple of reasons, just 3. Commitment, that commitment we talked about in Howard Law School. And she came not for the advancement of herself, but for a reason and a purpose. We're all here based on some type of sacrifice. People went to jail, went to their graves, just so America would be open to us. And we need leaders like Aisha Braveboy that is committed to vindicating those sacrifices in the 50s and the 60s. We need someone who will stand up and call it like they see it and bring substance, not symbolism.
Next, this woman needs no introduction. She was the clerk of the court for Prince George's County. Her name is Marilyn Blanton.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
First, I would like to say that it is truly a privilege and an honor to be standing here in front of all of you today for such a momentous occasion. However, I must admit that when I was first asked to share a few words with you about Aisha Braveboy, I was a bit disappointed. A few words could not even come close to doing justice for a person I have known for so long and have watched achieve so much during this time. I've known Aisha in excess of 11 years, and I met her when I was on the county council, and she was the liaison between the county executive and the county council. And she said to me at that time that she would love to be a public servant and hold office, and that did come true. Aisha has always been very confident and has always been able to accomplish what she set out to do. From her earning a Bachelor of Arts in Government and Politics from the University of Maryland, her graduation, go ahead. Her graduation from Howard University School of Law, and her making short work of the Maryland Bar exam. She has pursued each new challenge with the eye of the tiger. Never one to settle and always looking for a new challenge. She found a great place to put this energy and talent to good use, not just as an accomplished lawyer, but also as in public service, when in 2006 she ran and won a seat in the 25th Legislative District in the Maryland General Assembly. From there, she hit the ground running as a legislator and never gave the dust a chance to settle under her feet. While a blazing path of legislative advocacy on behalf of the 25th District, her accomplishments are only rivaled by the list of professional awards others have so justly bestowed upon her. She won the NAACP Award in 2007. She was awarded the Washington, D.C. Building Trades Council Legislator of the Year in 2008. She earned the Maryland Homeowners Association Legislator of the Year in 2009, as well as the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Community Service Award. In 2011, she was named Women Business Owners Legislator of the Year, as well as being named a Rising Star by Super Lawyer magazine. In 2012, she was the recipient of the Plumbers and Gas Fitters UA Local Number 5 Award for Excellence, and the Prince George's County Social Innovation Fund named her one of their 40 under 40. This year, she was named Maryland Legislator of the Year by Maryland Washington Minority Companies Association. As you can see, she never stopped to rest her laurels. A large part of what has allowed her to thrive has been her passion, not only to serve for the causes of justice, but also to lead as well. She served on the House Economic Matters Committee. She served as chair of the Consumer Protection and Commercial Law Subcommittee. She chaired the Legislative Black Caucus of Maryland, which was under her guidance. Just concluded their most successful conference this past weekend in Annapolis. How many of you were there at the Wasn't it great? I can say that I'm there. This is one of the best I have attended. As a matter of fact, Aisha was so busy until I had to take a moment every now and then to say, hey, that was great, that speaker was great, but she was so busy, she just had to keep moving. She didn't even have time for it. But just listening to her all of her professional accomplishments is tiring me out. I'm out of breath. With a sound track record of dedication and success, I am thrilled to share this moment as she embarks on the next phase of her career. I have no doubt that she can and will find success once again. I can think of no better place to combine her passion for public service with her training and skill as a lawyer than serving as Maryland's next Attorney General.
Aisha Braveboy.
This is overwhelming, and it's wonderful and it's beautiful to see you all here this evening. And I really have to thank Chuck Graham, Larry Greenhill, and really all of the building trades, because you have been so amazing to me in Annapolis. I've enjoyed working for you, passing your bills, arguing on the floor on behalf of you, and I just can't tell you how much it means to me that you would allow me to have my announcement, my official kickoff here in your home. So thank you. And my good friend Jackie Jeter is wonderful as well. We're going to be hosting an event at her facility, the Amalgamated Transit Union Hall. So I want to thank you also for being here. To my family, Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for raising me right. And I appreciate everything that you've always done for me. You've always been very supportive. So thank you all very, very much. You know, I'm a member of a sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. And I see my sorors here this evening. And I feel like I'm a member of all of the sororities because I have AKAs, Zetas, Deltas here this evening, Alphas, Kappas, Omegas, Phi Sigma, Chi Iota, Phi Theta. You know, we have it all here. It's all love. On October 24th, 2007, a young woman woke up and prepared her family for their day. She made sure that her 2 young children were taken care of and proceeded on to work at a local elementary school. This day started out as any other ordinary day. In fact, it is the same typical ordinary morning that many of us in this room experience. However, something extraordinary happened that day. Something that happens to far too many people in our society. After arriving at work and while performing her duties, her day took a dramatic and violent turn. She was viciously attacked, stabbed 16 times, and rushed to the hospital. Initial reports indicated she was stable and expected to survive. But unfortunately, for my family, this prognosis was not accurate. My 26-year-old cousin's life was tragically brought to an untimely end at the hand of the man who was supposed to love and provide for her husband. My cousin's murder was a shock to the family because she kept her abuse quiet and didn't raise her voice to speak out about the injustices that were going on in her own home. After that day, I vowed to always work to give a voice to victims of the heinous hate crime known as domestic violence. Small and minority businesses need the same economic opportunities that multinational companies receive. People who are middle class and those who are living in poverty deserve the same economic protections under the law that their wealthy counterparts enjoy. When you elect me as your next Attorney General, the days of banks perpetuating the loss of value and wealth in our homes will end. If a bank forecloses on a property in Fort Washington, Delegate Turner, or Baltimore City, Jill Carter, or Waldorf, Deborah Davis, they will be required to upkeep and aggressively market them the same way they choose to do in Bethesda. The people of District Heights, the people of Capitol Heights, the people of Randallstown should be given the same opportunities as those in Howard County and Talbot County to maintain equity in their homes. The banks continue to artificially deflate our wealth while they're making record profits. This is an economic injustice that cannot be tolerated in Maryland. And when it comes to keeping homeowners in their homes, we must ensure that there is the appropriate oversight and protection for those who live in communities operated by property management companies. It is for this reason that since I've become elected delegate, I host an annual Homeowners Association conference. This conference has helped bridge the gap between individual homeowners and groups that manage their communities. As a result of the success of these conferences, I have passed that have added protections for homeowners, but more needs to be done. My firm represents Village Green Mutual Homes. Does not have the resources or the authority to handle many of the matters affecting homeowners in common ownership communities. But when I become Attorney General, that will change. I will seek greater powers to protect and defend homeowners in this state. For most of us, our wealth and our security is in our home. And the home doesn't simply represent a shelter. It represents our future and our children's future. You know, another issue that keeps me up at night, which is why I'm not calling Mr. Lee at 7 o'clock in the morning anymore, is that corporations are continuously finding ways to game the system and benefit on the backs of consumers. Let me give you an example. The federal government passed the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, otherwise known affectionately as Obamacare, to provide quality, affordable health care to all people. Maryland stepped up to lead in the implementation of Obamacare. But in April of this year, just months before the state's rollout, CareFirst, the state's largest health insurance provider, proposed a 25% rate increase. Now, while state regulators approved a lower increase, it brought to light the importance of having strong, diligent attorneys representing the interests of people. This proposal will not go away, and there are other insurance companies that I'm sure will follow. If elected, I will propose an expansion of the role of the People's Insurance Council to cover health insurance, and will have a dedicated team to monitor the practices of insurance companies so that they are fairly deny coverage to consumers. That team will also testify on behalf of consumers during rate proceedings before the Maryland Insurance Administration. This progressive movement in the area of consumer protection will ensure that Maryland stays on the forefront of protecting its citizens. Maryland has an excellent reputation of being progressive. However, we cannot continue to say that we're a progressive state when we continue to have mass incarceration. Currently, our criminal justice system is warehousing people for low-level marijuana offenses, and that must stop. And we don't give first-time, non-violent offenders the ability to expunge their records so that they successfully compete for employment. And this is why our recidivism rate is so high. Far too many politicians are concerned about looking like they're not tough on crime, that they're willing to give someone caught with low levels of marijuana at 18. They won't give them the ability to have a fresh start at 28 or 38 or 48. That record follows them for the rest of their lives. And it doesn't make sense to keep people either unemployed or at the lowest end of the economic scale, which creates a permanent underclass of mainly black and brown people. That's not progress. You know, I think the most effective way to reduce and combat mass incarceration is to promote mass education. And that's why I sponsored and passed a bill to raise raised the dropout age in the state of Maryland from 16 to 18. Now, when I talk about mass education, I don't simply mean providing classroom instruction, but we must ensure that our curriculum is meeting the needs of our students so that we can effectively address the achievement gap in our schools. You know, on May 17, 2004, the Anne Arundel County branch of the NAACP, along with clergy, community leaders, and former school board members, filed a complaint with the U.S. Justice Department because they believed that African American students were being discriminated against in Anne Arundel County public schools. That complaint led to a settlement between the parties. However, in June of this year, the NAACP of Anne Arundel County passed a resolution of dissatisfaction with the progress that the school system is making. When I become the Attorney General, I will seek greater investigative and enforcement powers for the Office of Civil Rights, which was created under the current Attorney General. So that we can timely and effectively deal with discrimination in education and in other matters of our state. And speaking of discrimination in education, Dr. Richardson, I must mention that the historic federal district court decision of October 7th of this year, which found that Maryland discriminated against our historically black colleges and universities by unnecessarily duplicating programs and thereby perpetuating a dual system of higher education in violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution. And Dr. Richardson, former president of Morgan State University, you had that right. Now the state and the plaintiffs are in the process of trying to mediate a remedy. And as the future counsel to the next governor, I will simply provide one piece of advice. Governor, do the right thing. You know, see, there are no losers really in this case. Because when we invest in our HBCUs, we invest in our future workforce, our future business leaders, and our future economy for this great state of Maryland. Now, it is not lost on me, nor should it be lost on you, that when elected, I will make history as the first African American, the first woman, the first person of Caribbean heritage. My father immigrated here from Grenada, and he was a young student. Where's my dad? Okay, there we go. Oh, he's sitting down. That's my dad. There we go. And he met my mother at Howard University, and they fell in love. And they had me, my big sister, making sure that my 2-year-old niece doesn't mess up the whole event. Okay, great, there we go. And then I also have my other niece, Tiara, who I'm going to ask to join me up here. Come on, Tiara. And I also have my cousins here, and I really appreciate you all also for being here, cousins. Raise your hand. And it's really for the young people that I do what I do. And while it is true that I will be making history, I don't simply want to make history because of my race, my gender, or my ancestry. Together, with your help, we will make history by reducing our prison population to historic lows, Aisha Braveboy.